Greetings, my young and bold listeners. I hope you are all having a great new year. We at New World are back with yet another hybrid video. The other 4 hybrids we made were all aquatic or air hybrids, and Simainen, Kaitsja, Salyate, and Athulena. It is now time to take to the land with our very first hybrid we ever made, reworked. I am Constitutional Rider, and this is Beginning of New Worlds. Yes, this video will be about the very first hybrid ever dreamed up by New World, meant to take on the Indominus Rex 2.0. However, it was not finished in time to take place in that hybrid war, and then the sea and water called priority. But now this time, as a new tournament has opened, one where this hybrid can return in an improved form to take on others. Valus Dreadmir's Venom Pit. This tournament pits the greatest minds and their hybrids against each other in bracketed combat rounds to determine which one is the superior creature. The tournament does have some special rules, so I will cover a few of them real quick before moving on to the genome. First up, the arena is not a set one. It will be changing every round, so we need to take that into consideration. Each contest will only be 1 hour long, and you can have up to 5 team members in the match, depending on the difference in weight between the 2 hybrids that are competing. And speaking of weight, the hybrid must have a minimum weight of 500 pounds and a maximum weight of 25 tons. Finally, the hybrid must be primarily terrestrial. The word primarily will be the key to the creation of this hybrid, as flying, gliding, and semi-aquatic creatures are allowed. Alright. Now that's out of the way, we can move on to the animals that make up this hybrid. There are 12 genome contributors in this hybrid, same as Kaitsja, and are composed of 7 mammals, 1 bird, 3 reptiles, and a blob, invertebrate. The base genome in our very first animal in the hybrid is the North American porcupine. Valus also said that he wanted something Cenozoic in the hybrid, so this is the filler of that slot, as these porcupines have been recorded from that strata. Besides this, the porcupine will help with a number of things, including his tree climbing, spines, and iron-reinforced teeth, similar to that of a beaver. Next up, we've got the Great Glider, a large marsupial from Australia. This animal will mainly be adding its namesake ability. The gliding membranes will also be joined by the long bushy tail, which may have some prehensile ability. Our hybrid is going to need size to compete on equal footing, and for this we have our third creature, the Basilosaurus. This is our very first extinct genome and will contribute mainly to the size of the hybrid, but also the tremendous bite force of the historic whale. Studies determined that Basilosaurus could have had up to 20,000 Newton in bite force. The deadly teeth will also be transposed into our new creation. And now it's time to get our invertebrate on the table. The Nudibranch is one of my favorite contributors, as seen in the video covering Simainen. The Nudibranch is an impressive critter and will add some important features, such as an immune system targeted at many different types of toxins, and the ability to reuse toxins into stinging cells. The Nudibranch will also increase the hybrid's healing factor, giving it enhanced regeneration of not only external, but also internal organs. Not too helpful in a 1 hour fight, but good when used for other purposes. Let's go ahead and move back into mammals with our second marsupial, the Virginia opossum. This will cover the other half of the immune system when it comes to diseases and snake venoms on land, which opossums are basically immune to. Another important contribution is the prehensile tail from the opossum, as well as grasping forelimbs and feet. The hybrid is going to be very good at climbing and grappling. Next up, we have our very first reptile, the black caiman. The caiman was almost not included, but I assented to using it due to some very specific contributions. Namely, crocodilian healing and health factor, as well as having a very strong tail, which will combine nicely with the prehensile ability. Most importantly, however, is a special gular valve and nostril flap that can allow this creature to operate underwater for long periods of time. And now for this hybrid's intelligence. For this selection, we had to turn to one of my favorite animals, the Kia. I view this creature in the majority of my hybrids, and little wonder why. Kias are so smart and friendly creatures. They are also very social and curious, and they are also very patient problem solvers, and are one of the few animals that have been studied to understand probability when solving dilemmas. This creature is going to be able to outsmart most opponents. No question about it. Alright, now it's time to get our last two reptiles out of the way, starting with the horned lizard. Known in many different names, the horned lizard is a very important animal. First up, it will be adding the ability to filter its blood and introduce or extract toxins from said blood. This comes in handy with the next ability, shooting blood from its eyes. This is mainly a defense mechanism, and in nature, horned lizards do to dissuade predators, as the blood is mixed with an irritant toxin, probably derived from the ants that they eat. With the next contributor, however, this blood spray could become deadly. Up slithers our only snake, the copperhead. Most importantly, this snake will give the venom-producing abilities to this hybrid, and extreme venom control. Copperheads can deliver dry bites, or bites with certain levels of venom, very rare among snakes. This is why a bite is usually never fatal to humans. Heat-sensing pits will also be added to the senses of this hybrid. Alright, now I can finish out with the last three genomes, beginning with the brown-throated sloth. As a three-toed sloth, this animal will be giving our hybrid the ability to hang around in trees for a very long period of time without tiring, as well as massively increasing the forelimb strength of this hybrid. The sloth will also reinforce the front claws of the hybrid. Unbeknownst to many people, sloths can be very vicious and deadly when threatened. It can take many grown men to restrain one angry sloth. Lastly, sloths are incredibly durable, able to survive falls over 100 feet and receive no injury. Now we have the other part of the smarts for this animal, and will also improve the pack hunting ability, the Alaskan Husky. Though this is not an official recognized breed, it is very distinct from any other dogs, between the Siberian Husky and Malamute in size. Huskies have high metabolisms and can heal very quickly from light injuries. The Husky will also increase the hybrid's running speed to over 30 miles per hour, and be able to keep up a respectable pace at around 10 to 12 miles per hour for a very long period of time. Huskies also have dense underlayers of fur, which will help improve the hybrid's defense. Lastly, Huskies are very good at working in teams, and with humans, which will be very important. And last but not least, we have our final contributor, the spectral bat. Sometimes called the spectral vampire bat, this carnivorous flyer is in fact not a close relative of the little bloodsuckers. It will add extra membrane and gliding control to the hybrid, alongside echolocations and organs for helping with that. The interesting thing about spectral bats is that they have the strongest bite force per size ratio of any extant mammal. Pairing that with a whale, this should give the hybrid a very nasty chomp. At last, we have gone through all 12 genomes, and it is time to get the main creature. Let me present to you Denture Arma Nosoceroporus, or the Canopy Phantom, New World's first hybrid species, not an individual creature. The Phantom measures close to 12 feet long, much of that being its large, very strong tail. They stand close to the height of man at 5 feet and have gliding membranes that span 9 feet at the widest point. Phantoms weigh almost 700 pounds at full size and are covered in long spines across the body and legs. They can run, swim, glide, and are very adept climbers. Physically, they are impressive, but their secondary abilities is what take them to the next level. The ability to produce their own toxins is paramount to this hybrid. Canopy Phantoms can use their own toxins in their spines, as well as absorb other toxins and reuse them as well. They can even filter toxins out of their bloodstream to reintegrate into the spines. Thus, the level of toxins can vary in lethality and substance. But in any case, any enemy or predator attempting to attack this creature will find itself with a mouthful or chestful of painful, venomous quills. The tail can also be used to grapple a larger opponent and trip or tie the legs together. The most important adaptation for the Phantom is its ability to inflate its body from the lizard. Due to the weight of the hybrid, the inflation will slightly help with increasing the gliding ability, as well as the Phantom's ability to flatten its tail to increase wing loading and act as rudder in flight. Now, the force on the membranes will be extreme due to the weight of the hybrid, so the Phantom will not use the gliding abilities a lot. Mainly they'll be used as an ambush tactic or to jump across log voids if need be. For weapons, the most obvious of these are the spines, which are toxic and very painful. However, there's also the blood squirting ability. If this lands in the eyes, mouth, or wound on an enemy, this defense can cause blindness or cause toxins to enter the body through other means. Then there is the bite and the strike, both of which are devastating attacks by themselves. The bite would be more effective against similar sized opponents just due to the size of the jaws, and the claw swipe, combined with sharp, hard claws and the powerful arms, is deadly against any opponent. The bite can also deliver venom through modified mid-mouth teeth that are slightly shorter than the other teeth to protect them from the powerful bite. But because of the copperhead, the Canopy Phantom can control the amount of toxins introduced in the bite, if it even wants to introduce them at all. Now that we have covered the abilities, it is time to cover the members of the Canopy Phantom pack. There are 5 of them in total, one of which will be the base, and will be joined by his teammates depending on who he is fighting. The first team member is Sassafras, who is also the name of the original hybrid, and will be our first pack member and its leader. He was the firstborn and the most trained of all the pack. Sassafras learned to work with humans as well as his fellow pack members. The second pack member is Cottonwood, one of the 2 females, and the quickest on her feet and most agile overall. The third member is Chinkapin, the strongest climber and glider of the 5. The second female is Ginkgo, who is the fiercest and quickest to violence of all 5 of them. The final pack member is Ponderosa, who is the strongest and largest, and also has the longest, hardest claws. Whichever ones of the 4 who join Sassafras will be determined by the opponent, as it would obviously be better to have swiftness against slower enemies, but enemies who are pretty big but also fast, it would be better to have stronger and bigger ones so they can go head to head and compete directly. Now that all these cute little mammals are covered, it is time to see what they can do in the big tournament. If you want to see them do well and enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. 1,000 is our first goal, and we are almost a third of the way there. I hope you all have a good day, or night, depending on you are, and farewell until next time.